like ingieni tu hapo kwa comments mseme happy new year ndo tujue mko hapa. Kuna wengine wengi najua weko hapo wamenyamaza. Ingieni tu hapo mseme happy new year, and we are very happy to be back with you again. Today it's gonna be a random episode, a freestyle episode, because it's the first one. As you can tell, we are still a bit rusty. It's been a long vacation. We're gonna be trying to get our groove together back again. And on the comments pia, tuambie exactly what you want us to talk about today, this being the first episode. Ruth.
Hello.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
How was your, what is it? Do you call it a vacation? Where were you? You went to Kenya?
I did go to Kenya.
Okay. Now, what areas did you visit in Kenya?
Wow. Okay, so I was working. So I was working.
Working from home?
Working from
home. Or you
home.
had another job in Kenya?
No, working from home.
Okay.
So I was Nairobi based the first 2 weeks, and then the last week I went to Makwini. And the last few days I did road trips. So like I drove all the way to Tharaka Nithi.
Oh my goodness. So you saw those stolen votes. You found the stolen votes.
I was trying to look for them. Then I went to Masinga Dam. Just random road trips like that.
Okay. Yeah. So Tharaka Nithi, Nairobi, Masinga Dam.
Yeah.
Okay. What positives, what just getting started?
Vibes.
Yeah.
Just vibes.
First of all, what does that word mean? Everybody uses it nowadays, like even my nephews, I'm talking about them as saying, I didn't like the vibe there. What do you mean by vibes?
Vibes is, my understanding is, when something makes you feel good, something just makes you just feel you're happy.
Okay.
No worries, good vibes. I mean, there are also bad vibes, by the way.
Okay.
So you say, this is good vibes, or someone is good vibes. Oh, there could be bad vibes.
Okay.
I mean, they don't give you a good feeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
But mostly it was good vibes.
It was good vibes.
Okay.
It was good vibes.
All right. Yeah. Let me go to our people on undisclosed locations in islands. OmoshFaya. Omosh, karibu sana.
Asante sana, munanisikia?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Will you be disclosing your location today, Ama? It's going to remain undisclosed?
No, it's undisclosed. In fact, at this point, all I can say is there is 4 fishes now. We had 3 the last time we were at this location. Okay. So things are happening.
Okay. So how was your trip to Kenya? We don't even know whether you're still in Kenya, whether you're here. How was or is your trip in Kenya?
The Kenya trip was a well-needed rest, R&R. It was nice. I think it was too short, but some people might say it was too long.
Okay.
And in that, I was away for a month. So what does that tell you about what we think about of our vacation of home? I think maybe it's time to retire and just be permanently in this place with 4 fishes. Maybe there'll be 6.
Okay. Now what positives, struck out to you, like when you got back to Kenya? Positives.
Maendeleo. In terms of, people seem to be realizing that wanaweza jenga mahali mashinani or some place where they can go to for that needed R&R without having to go coast. That's what I noticed. There's a lot of building OTA. People have built like nice homes, beautiful places that are even better than some of the places they live in the city.
And where is Ocha for those maybe who don't know?
For me, Ocha is Rusinga Island, is Suba District, part of Homa Bay County.
Okay.
And it's all Lake Victoria, lots of heat, fish, and water.
Okay, and is that where you mostly visited while you were back home?
No, I was also in Nairobi.
Okay.
Then I did like different places in Nyanza, Kisumu, Alego, and other different places.
Okay. All right. Asante sana Omosha. And Micah Och, our sports anchor. Micah, can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Haya, sawa sawa. Talk to us about your vacation in Kenya. Tujui kama ulirudi, hatujui kama ulikuwa huko. What is it that you liked? You know, this particular vacation. Okay, but what did you like, or what are you liking?
Infrastructure development. The expressway.
Yes.
That thing is a very good. It's worth it.
Okay.
Totally worth it. Yeah, totally worth it. The amount it will take you to commute. But the several times I had to run to the airport, but I can be late and still made my flight. Yeah, it was totally worth it.
Okay.
And then another thing is not just the expressway. I did a road trip to Busia, and the road was typically smooth most of the way, unlike years past. Even that black spot in Kikopey, they really tried to pinpoint it's a black spot. They've tried to expand the lanes, put speeding lanes. And then another thing that I really actually saw was they actually had speed traps in Kenya.
Oh, wow.
And
like cameras?
Yeah. And when they stopped you, they would just pull out the phone and show you, see, anywhere. Like you couldn't even argue about it.
Yeah.
You couldn't argue about it. Which was typically really good because there was some behavior on the road. When we did our road trip to Busia, another good thing that I was actually excited about was that flight from Nairobi to Kakamega actually made it very easier for me because I was coming from Ocha, then going to Diani straight. So it saved me a few hours driving to Kisumu because Kakamega is like an hour away, and then you get on the flight, get to Nairobi in good time, manage to go to the house, change, park, go to Diani. And as always, Diani is always perfect, like the best part of my holiday. Just the much needed R&R I needed. And as much as say the fact of development in Kenya, even just in Nairobi, like, man, that city is beautiful. It's cool and it's beautiful.
Sawa. Yeah. And we are going to get to that Nairobi part, you know, like prepare. We want to know about the Sherehe scene and everything. But you know, like pause on that for now. Wacha OneMic hapa studio pia asalimie watu. Ndo watu wajue pia yeye alirudi. Uno.
Muriega.
Muri what?
Don't worry. So
Okay.
Muriega muno.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, that one I knew. Yeah, I knew that one.
Yeah. It was R&R like Omosh said. It was on point.
Okay.
And I echo Micah's sentiment in terms of infrastructure.
Yeah.
So I know for a fact.
Yeah.
Mombasa Malindi
alifanya kazi.
amefanya job.
Yeah.
Mombasa Malindi, and I was telling Ali off air before we started the show, Mombasa Malindi Road, a dual carriage.
Dual carriage.
Yes.
I would love to see Nairobi Mombasa.
Let me tell you, I understand, but I know
one step at a time.
Yeah, but I know I can't, and I know the police post, but I just don't remember the name. But from there, all the way to Kilifi, the bridge, wamechimba.
Okay.
But Ali had to give up props. Nairobi Mombasa is a very small road.
I'll say this.
Majority of that road
it is. I agree.
Road.
I mean, I know it's
majority.
It's not dual.
It's just
single.
a small part. Yeah.
It's single, but it's a road I travel.
It's a move. It's moving. Yeah.
It's it's a road I travel often. But also they are like now Uko Likoni. They're building a bridge.
No, are you talking about the Liwatoni? Or Liwatoni is already functional.
No, there's another one that they're building.
No,
the name escapes me.
Actually, OneMic is right. They're building a bridge that will eliminate the ferry.
Yes.
Because when we were coming from Biryani, we saw parts of construction of it. Yes.
Washaanza.
Okay, that's good. That's good because Liwatoni is a footbridge and it's a very long distance.
Not that one.
Yeah. It's a footbridge which is already functional, but it's a very long distance.
Yes.
And I think if they can eliminate that Likoni ferry, that will be a very good thing.
Washaanza.
Yeah.
That's what they've already construction is shaanza.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that infrastructure has been something else. I also took a road trip to Oloitoktok. That's heading towards Amboseli, and then what's that, Mount Kilimanjaro sides. You know, you're pretty much knocking on TZ. Expressway made a heck of a difference.
Yeah.
A heck of a difference.
Okay.
Because that traffic that you normally have getting out of Nairobi, that was pretty much eliminated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Much eliminated.
All right.
Dude, we did Nairobi to Limuru in 40 minutes.
That's...
Like, and see Limuru outskirts that inside Limuru, like that expressway has done a lot.
Okay.
And by the way, speaking of that expressway that Micah is talking about, look what tumetoka coast. Kilifi. So we were like, you know what, this one, no qualms about it. So from Mlolongo mpaka Westi.
Yeah.
It's so fast.
Moja kwa moja.
21 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
20, 21.
Smooth. Kwa hiyo tuseme
And you $360.
Yeah, 360.
But
yeah.
You've got
or 360 toll.
Yeah.
toll.
Yes, it's a toll.
360
Okay.
shillings.
That's like
But
$3.
You can subscribe for like an easy pass. It's electronic.
Yeah, you can do
But
that
we're
too.
like, you know what? Kama kona rental nini utajisumbua, because those guys are encouraging people. They're like, hey, unataka kufanya hii ETC because it is quicker. But lazima hapana, hii ni rental. Unaambiwa say ni rental, but it's 360.
Yeah.
And from Mulolongo
All the way to Westi.
Westi.
Yeah,
20 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Kwa hiyo tuseme
No traffic.
Kwa hiyo tuseme kwa ufupi Uhunya alifanya kazi.
Boss, Musa alifanya job.
Originally the job.
Wacha nikwambie kitu.
Sasa vile ametoka.
Job amadu. And even like like what I was telling you, the Mombasa Malindi, hiyo it was during his time. So wanaendelea tu na kazi.
Yeah, na unajua vile
hata hiyo side yetu kwenda side ya Western Kenya.
Yeah.
Honestly, all the other previous presidents, that was one of the very hardest road to travel.
Okay,
and by the way, let me
we did a drive where we left Nairobi at 4 a.m. in the morning. By 11:30 a.m. tulikuwa tunakula breakfast tushago Busia.
Okay. Aya, sawa.
It shows you how that road how that road efficient is, and how you can like it was a journey. It was a journey that usually will take you close to 8 hours to fulfill it. We did it in like between 5 to 4 hours.
Okay, good to know. Sasa it seems like I'm the only person, you know, like on the panel who did not go to Kenya.
No.
Yeah?
How was your summer bunny experience? And before you talk about your summer bunny experience, winterizing over here, let me just give one shout out to a guy called Arthur K. Ochieng, who is listening all the way from the 254.
Yeah, now Arthur is listening from the 254,
yes.
And we have Kate Couture listening from San Juan, Puerto Rico.
¿Cómo estás, señora?
Yes.
Is it señora or señorita?
All right.
Muy bien.
Yes, and quite a number of comments here coming in. You know, like people have tuned in. Let me see what people have to say. Pablo anasema, can we hear a few Sheng words that the summer bunnies may have learned in Kenya? We're going to talk about that later. And then Pablo Pianoliza, during your road trips, Ruth, what would you say changed on matters road infrastructure in Kenya? Has it been easy to drive around? Ruth, real quick.
Yes, it was really easy to. It was more than I was expecting in terms of it was good. We particularly we drove to Tharaka Nithi was to see the Deadly Bridge and why it is so. And so because the bridge is at a corner, on both sides approaching the bridge, wameka, what do you call this, ridges?
Bumps
and ridges. And also it slows you down.
Because a lot of people have died on that corner.
Yeah. So this is one thing we went to. So I thought that was really good. And then they have signs, don't what is that when people drive
fast?
No, when you're going downhill.
Downhill.
And then unachilia break jipeleke.
Coast.
Yeah, they tell you don't do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
they tell you don't do that.
Yeah,
You know, they
kweka
tell you-
neutral.
Yeah.
It saves gas.
Yeah, no, I know, but then it does
but
not
doesn't
save
save your
lives.
life.
Yeah.
It does not save.
Lakini gas ikiwa expensive sana sometimes watu wanafikiria maisha ama gas.
No, but they do tell you that. So I think there's a lot of work they've put in to kind of make that place a bit safer.
Yeah.
I do think that they need to kind of the guards need to be a little bit higher and stronger than they are.
Yeah.
But I think the signage was pretty good, I'll say, and also the ridges on the road kind of tell people, hey, you.
Okay, good. That's good to know. And then Pablo Father says Micah had to throw in that he has been flying, making trips to the airport. And then let me see. Stephen Bati hapa anasema, let me see. It says, this is why I tell people there's a difference between politics and policies. If you have a look at the policies, then you will realize that things to work, it's only that the corruption and others score for it. Hiyo grammar yako leo Steven sijui imeenda wapi, but
I think he's referring to when we said that we never alifanya job.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, na unajua vile sasa Mr. Mashamba ameanza kumes kidogo Uhuru ataanza kukaa Nelson Mandela. But that's a story for another day. Micah, let's go back to Nairobi.
No, before we do, you've not said that. And Pablo, hi Pablo. I had a great time from different continents with Pablo over Christmas. But he's asking for a super producer.
Okay.
Atujamsikia.
Aya, tutakuja kumsikia. Super producer basi kuja kwa mic basi wakusikie kidogo. Njoo usiogope hata kama hujapaka makeup bado usijali.
Fanya nini ama fanya nani?
Bora
hapa kujoketi hapa. We're not adjusting cameras here, bro.
Hii kamera hapa iko adjusted already.
Haisemi Ruth.
No, ataonekana pale nini.
Okay.
Yes.
Haya ndio huyo hapo.
Kwani kuna swali?
Na nywele ilishaonekana. Kichana kilipotea. But ni sawa. Karibu sana Mubelwa.
Yeah man. Asante.
Pablo ndo alikuwa anakuulizia. Hebu msalimie Pablo, anataka kujua unaendelea vipi.
Pablo, tunaendelea vizuri na Ruth. Niko poa.
Okay.
Niko poa, mwaka umeanza uzuri. Tumerudi.
Okay.
2023.
Ulisafiri Tanzania safari ama ulikuwa hapa?
Hapa.
Haya.
Kazi.
Okay, sawa.
Okay. Kwangu mimi nakwenda wakati wa sama, kwa hiyo mjiandae. Takuja kuambia Mama Samia anafanya nini. Na miss vipi Magufuli. So
okay. Na tumeona mikutano imeruhusiwa sasa Tanzania.
Yes.
Tundu Lissu asharudi.
Amesema nataka kilo ya mchele iwe ni shilingi 1,000.
Kwa sasa kilo ya mchele ni kiasi gani?
I don't know. Lakini kilo 1,000 ina maana mkulima anapata nini?
Okay. All right. So inaonekana. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Kwa hiyo unasema kwamba ananunua cheap. Lakini anayeuza?
Haya.
Na 90% whatever 80% ya watu ni farmers. Kwa hiyo
so yaonekana matatizo ambayo wa Tanzania Kenya tuko nayo yapo pia Tanzania.
Kagera deep.
Okay. All right. Asante sana na Kenya Doyo, karibu sana. Jodo Mole, karibu sana. And Slea namwambia Mubelwa kwa kamera shy tena. But anyway, let's go back to you Micah. You know, we want to talk about Nairobi. And the Sherehe scene. We know that there was a big crackdown on loud music and restaurants and restaurants or clubs purporting to be restaurants or restaurants purporting to be clubs. For those who remember, there was that video, you know, like former Miss Kenya Emma Tor showed of a video of inside her apartment on a restaurant that was not too far from where she was living. Yeah, Samaki. And the music was so loud, you could actually hear the music very clear vibrating inside the house.
All the funny thing was, hazikufungwa, wale reduce volume.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is good.
So the funny thing was, we've gone to Ivory, right? Sun is playing. Obviously, you know, Sun is moving. Sun anakuwa na high crowd yake, right? Ana mafans wake, akona Aida, akona June. right? Shinski, tuko hapo Christmas, mimi like we have to hype him up, kelele. Bausa alikuja akaambia kina Aida nyamazeni.
What?
Like, yeah, kama napiga tuko residential area nyamazeni. Sadi akaenda kazi hiyo akaambia wacha ku hype crowd. So wali reduce volume. That's what most of them did. They wanted a residential area.
Okay.
One reduced to volume, but hazikufunga.
Ama unatoa base.
Yeah. Omosh tulikuwa ibari na wewe kwanza, si ndio?
Tulikuwa na wewe unajua, lakini nilikuja late, lakini yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mlichukua blood picture nonsense.
So the only thing they did was that they just told people to reduce the volumes, but the clubs were there. People are still partying.
Okay.
It was very hard for them to be closed down.
Yeah, Omosh, let me ask you a question as a DJ, you know, and maybe this is me being me having a different taste when it comes to how loud music is. You know, like, why do DJs like making the music so loud?
It's the same
to a point sometimes that it gets uncomfortable.
In the same reason why ndio wanapenda pilipili kwenye chakula.
Lakini ndo namuuliza sasa.
Unajua bandits ni DJ, so you're attacking some.
No, I'm just trying to understand. You know, like, does it make the music better or
kafiri firi?
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand that sound.
Ali, that's really a myth, and some DJs think that when you crank the music up, then that's when people are hearing it, or that's when it sounds better.
Okay.
Which is not necessarily true.
Yeah.
There's a volume that you can work your music at and still be able to get to your crowd and hit your crowd with the music that you're playing. But it's the lack of understanding. You know, it's that one of they want the music to hit you in your chest and just doing it, which is not necessarily the way music should be enjoyed, in my opinion.
Okay.
So I'm actually on the anti-climax in terms of volume.
Okay.
I believe that if you work at moderate volume, the music will do what it's supposed to do. But other folks can't
understand, like if we look at the science of it, right? The louder it is, the more your decibels are higher, the more your hormones are spiked up. A lot of maybe at that point of your life, you're drunk, you're on drugs, you're psychedelics. The louder it is, the more you feel elevated, the more I feel party na elevate. So it's just a matter of most, like if you let's look at the European version of it. The louder it is, the better it is, right? They really don't matter about anything. You can't even hear yourself thinking. So for them is, as long as my rev ilishika, fame yangu inaendelea, mimi najulikana kati mwenye kwa mnomo. But if you listen to European raves, upatu ni kelele.
Hizo ma EDM.
Yeah. Really loud.
Pia kuna
volume.
Kuna sauti ya juu afu kuna sauti bora. And the issue we have katika kombi nyingi nyumbani, maybe Afrika Mashariki, ni sound system. Yani ile engineering ya sound. Kwa hiyo badala ya kuwa na speaker ambako sound zina meet, wakati mwingine unakuta speaker zote ziko mbele. Kwa yule mtu wa nyuma anakuambia sisikii, huyo huko mbele unaongeza. Yes. Kwa hiyo na hiyo ni tatizo jingine. Kwa hiyo ukikuta watu ambao wameweka acoustics nzuri, hauhitaji sauti iwe juu ili iwe nzuri. Kwa hiyo kuna tofauti kuwa na sauti nzuri au sauti kubwa na sauti bora. Hiyo tunajua katika kila kitu. Bigger doesn't necessarily mean.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's quite interesting. And hapa Castro
anasema. Can I say something about the music?
Yes, go ahead.
So it's interesting. I am 100% opposed to loud music. Like I need to have a good time. I need to be able to have a conversation with whoever I'm with.
In the club?
I don't do clubs.
No, but even in the club, the club is a social. It's a social place.
But
you know, I don't go to clubs as that, but wherever. Like, just never grew up with that. But like, it's just too loud. So I'd rather go to lounges, right? Like, just a place like we can talk, listen to music.
Like a hookah lounge?
No.
Okay.
So, because I have never experienced nightlife in Nairobi, so I had a friend of mine decide like, we'll go out and see. So please kunaenda kukuwa na music.
Wait, hold on.
Okay,
Wait,
can I go on? I decided to go to where he chose to go. Akukuwa na loud music, so you'd be like, hii ina vibe, tukatafuta place ingine. So I was like, me, I'm okay actually sitting over here. This is me. We're good here, you know. So and to hear that this place used to be louder than that. Was very concerning to me, because certain of them, they're in residential areas. Like, I think I'll be the person petitioning for them to be shut down. Not even. I'm glad Waliamba was
party pooper.
I will be that person. I will be that person. But like, but it was good. I've said it was good. The music levels was okay.
Wait, you never did what? You never handed in Kanairo?
I came here right after high school.
Cheza chini.
Mbona alikuwa nakwenda katika primer?
Let me say this.
Mimi nilikuwa naenda msikitini hizo siku na madrasa.
When I landed, so my bro picked me up, and then I knew, like, you know, like when you're, you know, on Wayaki way, like, you know, you'll be boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
But as you're driving, I'm like, nikamuuliza kadhe, yani inaonekana Sakaja ameguruma kabisa. I'm like, kadhe, ameguruma ile mbaya. So even like on Wayaki way, you will not hear anything.
Okay.
At all.
Yeah, and I think that's fair.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
And part of the reason is there's a time nilikuwa nimeenda visited Madhia a while back when she used to live in Westi, karibu na Rezoras.
Yeah.
When Rezoras, Black Diamond, those guys were
restaurants became the Adams Morgan.
Boom, boom. Electric Avenue, whatever it was called.
Yeah, Electric Avenue.
And my bro told me, like, iyo imesaidia neighborhoods where there are bashes, where the clubs are.
Yeah.
It has helped them. So with what Micah was saying in terms of noise in neighborhoods, zimepungua.
Yeah.
So you go to certain places, yes, muziki inapunguzwa.
Yeah.
Hata nduru ampigi.
No, and you know, and I think
but that is circumventing, it's working.
And I think that's fair, because I think it got to a point in Nairobi where entertainment got devolved. You know, like back in the day, entertainment used to be in certain places. You know, people would either go to Kani, ama they would go to K1 or K2. It used to be in specific places.
Yes.
But then it got devolved.
Clubs zilikuwa shopping.
Zilikuwa shopping. Like even in Buruburu, utenda Buruburu pale phase 2 kwa shopping center ndo utapata kuna ka club hapo. But now it got to a point where entertainment got devolved. Every small neighborhood want to have their own little club. You know, a place like Nairobi West Kwanza, you know, like where I grew up, that was one of the first places to get affected by this idea of bringing entertainment to the neighborhoods. And I think it's fair, because even yourself, think about yourself here, wherever all you guys live, none of you would be happy if you would have, you know, like a club or an establishment where you hear loud music. And you know, sometimes in Kenya, people are going out on a random Wednesday, you know, so ni katikati ya wiki, you know, and there's loud music. So I think, you know, that's a fair thing to do, but at the end of the day, Nairobi bado ni jiji la sherehe. You know, people still have to have a good time. You know, like Nairobi is known internationally. You know, like even visitors who come, they know that Nairobi has that reputation, and they like that about Nairobi.
But musipeleke kwa residential.
Yeah, you kupeleka kwa residential.
100%.
Yeah, I think.
Peleka Tao.
Yeah.
Find a spot like Electric Avenue somewhere.
Yeah.
Kuna residence.
Yeah. Real quick, here are some comments, you know, before we go to the next topic. Castro anasema about the loud music, it's because most DJs are deaf or losing their hearing from the use of huge headphones. And then Pablo says, I think on the clubs and sound issue, it can be hard just to comply and reduce the volume past certain times of the night. That way, it would have been a win-win for clubs and the people living around the clubs. And then Akinya anasema,
up to 10, they can be as loud as they want.
Okay. And then Akinya hapa anasema,
but after 10, they have to reduce the volume.
Okay. And then Akinya hapa anasema it's an age factor, loud music. And then Castro anasema, from experience, I noticed this, and now they need to monitor.
They need a monitor speaker.
Or they need a monitor speaker next to their ear.
But that's different thing.
Yeah. Okay, and then let me see. Does loud music translate to people coming to a certain club? That's a question from
I
Pablo.
think so.
Yeah, for those who don't know.
There are people who do.
Yeah.
I had one.
And then Elolota anasema churches are notorious na miskiti too. Miskiti achezi mziki, mskiti na mwadhini.
It's the same thing like church. So I'll tell you. So growing up in
the 5 a.m. call.
The 5 a.m. No, I'm at 1 o'clock at 1 p.m.
It's 5 times. It's 5 times a day.
Yeah.
That's a call to prayer.
Yeah.
5 a.m.
Yeah.
Ukiangalia mwadhini ilikuwa inakaa 5 minutes.
Mwadhini ni 5 minutes. Hata ifiki 5 minutes, labda ni 3 minutes.
Hata ifikangi 5 minutes, 3 minutes imeisha.
3 minutes, yeah.
Church crusade walikuwa kipiga praise and worship wanapiga 45 minutes.
And you know, and I'm not bashing.
Hawezi compare vitu mbili.
And I'm not bashing churches, but I know one of the things I did complain about is like, do churches have to be this loud?
Yeah.
You know? And someone says, well, clubs are loud pia. Ata mosques are loud pia. So we are all out here doing our thing. So I don't know. I hope with the regulation on noise being reduced, I hope that.
Because I think somebody had put something out there about what about mosques and
churches.
And churches.
Churches can be loud.
No.
Churches were still being loud. Kwanza them from Christmas mpaka New Year.
Jesus Christ.
Ni sherehe moja na ni kukesha. And muziki aishi.
Yeah.
Maze unajua chacho kikesha jua anakuwa pia anapiga kadunda. Wakisema mimi kwanza pale nilikuwa naishi nilikuwa kando ya dunda ka 4. Hauzisikii. Lakini kulikuwa na chachi moja ilikuwa inatoka na huko. Like it was far.
One speaker ambazo walipi taxes kwa hiyo. Speakers zao ni tax free. Tuendelee.
Aya, sawa. Wacha we move on from this topic.
Kuna comment ya Matatu.
Matatu?
Yeah, talk about Matatus with bedbug outbreak. Where?
Okay. You're skia. That's a new one.
Elolota, kama umekula na bedbug, pole. Carry on.
Usikupanda matri.
Aya, sawa. Now, you know, like taking a quick different turn. Ruth, I want to come to you. Last year, we had a very contentious election. And I think this was the first time most of you are going back home after the election. How was life after the elections? What were people saying? You know, like, how was the feeling? Were people excited? New regime? You know, first 100 days, things are amazing. I'm just
imagine umeuliza maswali yote afu yote nasema yes.
I should just say that. I should just say yes.
Like yes to everything.
You know what? Just say yes. It was on point like a decimal. One ya Kenyamaza.
So I think my experience is there's a sense people have just moved on. I'm at the resignation to whatever. This is what we have right now. I think Kenyans are very good at that. And interesting. The church I went for Christmas, Ocha, the pastor was actually very happy that we have a Christian president who leads the cabinet in prayer. And I was like,
but we've always had a Christian president.
No. This one
except
not.
for Jomo.
No. This are not.
Religious.
Religious.
Okay.
Okay, whatever.
Huyu anaomba
ndio sababu anaitwa Christian.
Okay.
And I'm quoting the preacher here.
Excuse me, can we not trigger those guys who support? But carry on.
No, I'm not trying to trigger anybody. I'm just saying
Ali,
this. Okay. No, I did say which I was Ali. I'm just reporting what I saw on the ground.
No, just report.
Okay.
Wasiwasi.
And so for me, I saw. Listen, like maisha yetu inaendelea, we have to find a way to provide for ourselves because prices are so up on things. So move on, do your thing. There are sections of the country that are very happy, as I just gave you an example. Like I think especially
the hustlers.
hustlers are not happy about that, by the way. The hustler fund was not, by the way, I qualified for the hustler fund.
Oh, so you got a loan?
No, like I did not get a loan, but you try to figure out how much you would get.
Okay.
800 shillings.
How much?
800 shillings.
Okay.
My cousin got 600.
My sister was not happy about that because that wasn't what was promised, so to say.
Okay.
So I think those are the sentiments I would hear about, like, oh, let's just move on with life. Ama, we were lied to. This is what tuliambiwa. This is not correct. But I think the biggest sense I got is like the sense of moving on. Let's just keep doing life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Earlier this week,
at least doing the dance.
No, I'm not dancing. I mean, why would I dance? And those are my people. Like who?
You see, even your smile, even the look on your face, and the
smile. Those are my people. Those are my people who are suffering. Those are my hustlers.
Those are my
hustlers who are suffering.
Aya,
Mika, wacha tumsikie Mika.
Unaona? Dismiss you.
Even though reality is that the people are broke back home.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
People are broke and everybody is pinching, kila mtu ana hata sherehe raundi ulikuwa ukiangalia ikuwa kama hizo zingine. And you see, even when you go to buy something, when you transact to do business with somebody, you could see it. So for me, you would see that when you tip somebody, ile gratitude yako nayo, unajua umemwokolea. Umemwokolea vibaya sana. Like yeye anakwambia, like people are trying hard to make end meet. So si rahisi vile wanafanya hiko, but wamekubali. Hii ndo kitu tuko nayo. Tunaishi nayo, and they're punching along with it.
Yeah. Okay, unapambana na hali yako.
Wanapambana, but things are hard and things are just getting harder and things are expensive.
Okay.
Not like they were. Things are expensive, right? And you get basic things like they need, like mafuta, steam, and in kupanda. Like in kupanda, and there's hawana do, so it's watu wamekubali ndo station yao wanaishi nayo.
Yeah, wanapambana na hali yao. Aya, OmoshFaya, tuambie watu Rusinga Island walikuwa wanaeleza vipi? Huko mambo ni sawa. Maisha Island nini?
Well, the same sentiment that Micah had. Something that was interesting was your Hustla fund, everybody who could qualify took it. It seemed like a lot of them also did not understand ni kitu watalipa. So hao walikuwa nachukua tu, wanasema vitu ni mbaya because wamezoea kufanya what's that thing called, ile
fuliza.
Yes, wamezoea kuchukua fuliza. So for them, in some cases, Hustla fund ilikuwa inawasaidia kulipa fuliza. So they were going, back and forth with it. But a lot of folks seem not to understand exactly how this Hustla fund is working. They just know that it's there. It's money that they are getting. At least watapata sotano and up. In fact, me, I assumed to sotano. I didn't even know that kulikuwa na levels za kuipata based upon A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But like Micah said, mashenani na do hakuna. No one has money, and it's almost like money has not circulated within the economy. Like it's still not circulated. It's almost like people are still waiting for the other foot to drop or something to happen. So it's like they're holding off on spending money, and or they just don't have the money to spend. But things are extremely expensive. I mean, shopping that normally would take you maybe 10K is costing about 18 to almost 20, if not more. So what you are purchasing, like normally, coming back, you try to buy things, spices, sauces, blah, 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 and you spend how many more? 20K. You are spending like 30 to 35K.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's actually a lot, and that's not to count your basic things like gas, mtungi ya gas, imeenda juu. So sahi ata maka in fact, which has been something that was banned kitambo. Now makaa is wide open. Iko hapo, unanunua makaa nika unaenda ukienda. You know, no one is hiding it anymore. So
okay.
Those are some of the things that you're seeing live in front of you that were happening. Mitumba yendi, watu wanakona job, wanafanya hizi mitumba, ama watu wakona maduka za small little goods or to buy like figurines and things like that. Nobody's stores are selling anything. It's dry. In fact, January came in December. Prior to January coming.
January came in December.
It came in December.
Okay. Yeah. Sawa. Now, we're talking about cost of living, because these are issues ambazo Mosha may bring up the cost of living. And I think, Uno, I want to come to you here, kidogo, because there was an issue of power. The issue cost of power is the tokens kununua. You know, like I had people chattering about it. What is the issue, you know, like with those tokens? Is it that bei imeongezeka? What is going on? Because there's a lot of chat about that.
Now, from experience,
yeah,
I had Mokoro, my mother, complain. Initially, like if you would buy 1,000 shillings worth of tokens, I think you'd get 60. But now you're getting like 38.
Huh?
It's already expensive.
So 60, when you say 60, you mean 60 units.
Oh,
okay.
60 units.
Yeah.
But now you're getting like 38, 39.
Wow. Okay.
1,000 shillings.
Now your 1,000 shillings, for example, how long would it take?
In
is
a
it like a month?
No, it depends on how much you use. It's all
Lali,
about usage.
I have my Kenyan number. They're gonna receive a token. They'll token.
Okay.
Actually,
but you know the different parts of the country.
No, but mina jaribu ku understand like an average house in, let's say like a 2-bedroom apartment in Nairobi.
Bro,
you know, like approximately how much are they gonna use in a month?
No, it depends. It depends on usage.
Average, not
I don't know.
Not too much,
because like if you've got
a fridge and whatever that is more passy.
If you've got if you have worked at sijui electrical equipment, you've got your router, you've got comps, you've got whatever. It's you can't say exactly how much. You can't say exactly how much. You can't gauge. Because even like with my mom, at some point, you know, like now for her, you know, it's probably the fridge.
Yeah.
And now her entertainment, her TV and whatever she's watching. And maybe if she plugs in her phone to charge, it won't be much.
Okay.
But like now, for example, if let's say now we're over there, you know, familia zimekuja, so now you're plugging in Simu, you're plugging in whatever, you're charging whatever, the microwave, the KRA, the fridge is on overdrive, whatever it is. You really can't gauge how much.
Okay.
It's all about, because the tokens, it's all about how much you use. But her beef was, at one point you'd get 60 units for 1,000 shillings.
Yeah.
Right? Now, for someone who is single, maybe who doesn't have kids or whatever, matumizi yako is very minimal. Low, so that can last you. But even that, she'll be like, listen, over here, like half of it is going even, I don't know to what. Due taxes, due levies, due what, due ABCD. This makes no sense at all. Micah.
So this is the thing. Maybe where I was staying, I think the last day the last day still will tokens. Only after my host ameniambia ametumia karibu 4,500 in tokens since I moved in.
And how long was that? I
stayed there for 6 weeks.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So mimi nilibuy token ya 500 because nilitoka kumpigia simu. And that token number ni refu, date to 2023 January 11th. Actually, nilitoka the next day. I got 18.95 units. I bought tokens for $500.
500
token amount, 500 shillings. Sorry, token amount was 238 and 74. VAT was 59.95.
Oof.
Fuel energy charge was 136.02.
Ouch.
Forex charge was 36.5.
Forex tenor.
EPRA charge was 56 cents. WRA charge was 2 cents. REP charge was 11.93. 11 shillings and 93 cents. Inflation adjustment was 16 shillings and 1 cent.
Wow. Okay. Now I think it's coming together and it's making sense to me.
Can I read some comments to your point?
Yes.
To
go
explain.
Ahead. Yeah.
So I'm gonna jump a couple, but Lewis Simuya is saying used to spend $1,500 a month for tokens in 2016. Same household is now consuming $3,000 a month.
So it's like the cost has doubled.
Doubled.
And by the way,
But
they're going up.
It's doubling, going on to taxes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like now, let's say for example, somebody like my mom who's now retirement pensioner, right?
Fixed income.
It becomes muhadara. It becomes madhogodhanio. Because
you have a limited income.
Yeah, it's limited. But now
Fixed income actually.
You're like, okay, so I'll be like, okay, mom, how much? 1,000. So 1,000 shillings, like I said, would get you 60 tokens.
Units.
Yeah.
That's 38.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. So
Right? So more than half of it, like Vilemic, like they break down, like when they send you when you pay,
Yeah.
and then they send you the text, they break down how much
is going to what?
How much is going to taxes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
How much you're not going to get, in other words, and it is a lot.
Yeah, and you know, and I personally think these are the things that policy heads need to sit down and try to figure out, and Parliament, you know, and unfortunately, we are in a place in our country where you know, like the members of Parliament only want to do stuff that they can stick their name on, or do a building or a bridge. So I think the other policy part, things are getting hurt.
Now let me
because
also,
this is affecting a lot of small businesses. It's affecting a lot of households, and this cost also is going to affect, you know, like foreign investors who are trying to come in, because our neighboring countries are paying less for the same units of electricity.
And by the way, when you're paying all that,
And
remember,
factories.
there are blackouts.
And there are still blackouts.
There's some blackouts somewhere in between. So maybe that saves you some chum.
Lakini blackout in December ilikula blackout moja na ililast 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like now you'd hear like, and maybe that's in Nairobi, but there are other places.
Did your house have a backup generator?
Yes, but it had a backup generator. But at that time, I'm saying like a blackout where I was in the house. Now, it happened actually during the day.
Yeah.
And you could hear the whole neighborhood was silent. But for like 10 minutes, you could read it. And I didn't experience any other blackout.
But you know, when it comes to blackout...
Last year, to blackout here, the whole country for a whole day.
But you know,
I remember that.
But you know, blackouts in Kenya, we're actually doing so well. I was listening to this South African, YouTuber who was in Kenya, and she was saying she was so amazed that she's not seen any blackout the whole time that she's been there, you know. And then also Nigerians in Nigeria.
Nigerians, those ones suffer.
Nigeria, you know, it's normal. It's normal.
3 hours.
It's a daily thing.
They have 3 hours of electricity.
Everyone has a generator.
Yes.
All right, so a lot of comments coming in.
Yeah.
Just want to remind the listeners that you're tuned into the Politics Hour of the OneMic Show. I'm your anchor and producer, Ali Badawy. We're talking about Kenya, tokens, life after elections, all this from a Samabani perspective. And we will later talk about Kenyan real estate, land, and Airbnb investing by diaspora. So stay tuned for that. But before we continue, Micah, please briefly tell us what we're going to be talking about in sports tonight. Micah.
So in sports, we're going to be talking about rugby. We're going to be talking about two of Kenya's greatest, and actually one of them is one of the world's greatest. The second highest try scorer in World Sevens Rugby has retired, so we're going to be talking about that. And also going to be talking about the upcoming 7 series in the Americas, which is both in LA and Vancouver, Canada.
Okay, good. And we'll also be looking at the 2023 marathon calendar. Remember, Eliud Kipchoge is going to be in Boston, so that's going to be big, and that's going to be in the sports segment. Ruth.
Okay, so I need to read the comments, but before I do, I need to comment on that South Africa blackouts. There was a journal today, the podcast, that was the topic, and they say blackouts, corruption, and a poisoned CEO. South Africa's state-owned power company Eskom is struggling to keep the lights on in the country. So if you wanna listen, a good listen about power issues in South Africa, that would be one.
Is that an article or like their podcast?
That's the podcast.
Okay.
Today's journal's podcast was that.
All right.
Yeah.
Which journal,
It's Wall Street Journal.
They have a
WSJ.
WSJ. Yes.
Yeah, be clear, man.
Okay.
Sorry, my bad.
Okay. So Pablo says, let's face it, so we're talking about the cost of living in Kenya. Let's face it, during campaigns, politicians will promise anything and everything so that they can be elected. The problem is, no one asks for specifics, more so during debate. Then when one gets into power, reality checks in for the masses. Washeke, when talking about token prices, power prices in Kenya, a high percentage of the unit price is going to taxes. Lazima mlipe euro and China bonds. And the kicker is, the higher your usage, the higher your unit price. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Pablo says, besides policy, also well-informed policymakers, putting aside political patronage and rewarding supporters. That Kenya power issue is because we got loans from World Bank, and World Bank financed foreign private companies from Europe to come generate power using diesel and sell to Kenyan. They are charging almost 20 times the cost for power generated by Kenyan, and nothing can be done because it's a contract done through the World Bank. In addition, they're charging in dollars, and Kenya has to buy the power generated regardless whether there is demand or not.
Can I pause you there for one quick second?
Yes.
They're charging in dollars.
Yeah. No wonder the Forex charge.
So this is something that I brought up before, and I got a lot of heat. You know, like when for example, like you're bringing your dollars and you're trying to invest into Kenya shillings. Mm-hmm. This is what happens. That's why there's that surcharge there. You know, I always tell people, like, ask yourself when you go, when you're opening an account and you want to open a dollar account, notice that the interest rate that they're going to give in a dollar account is different from the Kenya shilling account. So that's just something that is kind of silent, but people should always have fresh in their minds. That's why there are these charges.
Is the interest higher or lower?
The interest on dollars is much lower.
Oh, okay.
The interest on dollars is much lower. What they'll give maybe 10 or even 11% on a Kenyan account, they'll give you less than 4%. Sometimes maybe even 3% on the dollar.
You know, when people look at sending money back home, they look at the buying price. I don't know if anyone of you has looked at the selling price of the dollar from Kenya today.
I've not looked at it in a while, but I try to stay away from, you know, like I try to keep my money in dollars. I mean, I love Kenya, I'm patriotic and all, but hey, man, kuna vile Kenya shilling inaungua.
Okay.
Niliangalia, they were selling at 135.
Okay, now look at that. Anyway, Ruth and
because there's that shortage of dollars in Kenya, for people who need to transact, my rule of thumb has always been, it doesn't matter what I do. Say hypothetically somebody sends me for something, they pay me back in dollars. I don't care what the rate is over there. I pay me back in dollars because the Kenya shilling is not something that I can function with when I come back here. So that's something that people also need to try to keep in mind when you're dealing with the dollars. And you can always negotiate with the banks if you have a dollar account on the exchange rate. And otherwise, you just take your dollars. If you don't want to change it, then keep. You know, it's up to you how you want to operate in terms of what you're keeping, the money that you're putting in the account. But you can negotiate with the bank.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to power, Ruth.
Okay. Walter Cooper Cole saying you're trying to understand a company that has a monopoly and was specifically created for corruption. Wow. Is that Kenyan or the World Bank? Kenya, because all the same. Kenya has one of the highest costs of energy, discouraging investments in manufacturing, high energy dependent businesses, etc. By the way, Stephen, solar energy should be encouraged at some point because it does help eliminate dependence on the main grid. No, Pablo is asking, no Arsenal news in sports. Yo.
Okay, you're tajua time ya sports.
Slay is asking Pablo, what
Mwambia
others?
Google ziko na smartphone.
Tell Pablo, by the way, mnaongea juu Arsenal leo. Steven, Ashley Maingi Karibu. Welcome, Ashley. Everybody else is watching. Oh, Walter says it's Kenyan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So that's another big issue that's, I think, eating into the incomes of Kenyans. The cost of power. You know, like it has doubled. It has and everybody's talking about it. These are things that at some point maybe middle class thought certain things are not gonna catch up with them. These things that middle class thought up will never catch up with them are catching up with them in a very big way.
And then also don't forget that people are coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
Very many people, very many businesses, very many business people lost jobs around that time.
Yeah.
Now, couple that with, it was almost election time.
Yeah.
When coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
So I know for a fact, like, what wanaumia, like Omosh said, you know, like my brother at one point in time, the whole of November, December, job. And him is a guy of, you know, gari, trucking, career, truckers, music system, whatever. Gari, kufunga, tuko na ngoja. Na ni Hustla.
Wow.
Alikuwa na support Hustla.
Okay.
Yes. And now at that point, you know, you're like, yo, kadhe niaje. So you're like, okay. So it has been rough.
It's rough.
But then the funny thing is, at some point, there's some people you look at. There's that segment.
Yeah.
Wanaumia. Then there are guys.
The guys who are balling out of control.
Maze magari makaidk.
Yeah.
Makaidi zime chrome.
Yeah. I mean, of course, there's always that class of rich people, and you see, I think
they're mockers. Like they're already like, okay,
yeah,
Audi, Bentley. I saw a Bentley. I was told there's a Tesla in Kenya. I was like, okay, Marenji, disc 4. Is it D4?
Yeah, I
think. Micah should know this one.
Discovery.
Disc 4.
Yeah.
Disc 3. I'm like, what are those? Oh, at the Land Rover.
No, I think also, you know, like part of the issue also that's affecting people is that I think the response of the Hustler government has been to overtax people, and some of these taxes, you know, came from the previous regime. You know, like they're just being implemented. But that's been an issue. I was talking to Omosh earlier about the Kenya Revenue Authority now coming after landlords, and actually, Omosh, I want you to talk about that a little bit. You know, like if you're a landlord in Kenya right now, what exactly do you need to know, Omosh?
Well, if you're a landlord in Kenya, what you need to know is that you need to pay, I think it's 10% of whatever your revenue is that comes in from your rental property. Now, what they're doing is they're actually sending KRA agents door to door, knocking, asking. They ask at the gate, hey, are there any guys who are renting here or renters, and so on and so forth, or landlords? And they try to get information from, you know, the
tenants,
the soldiers. And, you know, once they get that information, they'll either go write a letter, deposit it at the place, or give it to those guys, so that it then now in turn goes to the landlord. So it's almost like they are coming after you, but then you're self-reporting. So a lot of places, what they're doing is they just basically have told those Wochis, Akuna, those chaps come, zero. You can't say anything. But of course, you know, they get intimidated. But the bottom line of it is that when it comes down to a point where you have to pay the 10%, it's going to be passed on to the renter. So rent is going to go up. So granted, KRA will make their money, but the renters, you know, cost of living is also going to go up because it's just going to be passed on to the renters. So expect to see things or changes from that direction coming, and maybe people are going to start moving out, you know, further out, so they can afford, as opposed to living in, you know, closer to the city, like, you know, Kilimani, those suburbs, you know, the nice so-called neighborhoods.
What will pay taxes?
But also those property prices are coming down.
Yes, they have come down. So that they're coming, they have come down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of real estate that's empty. And, supply and demand. So basically what's happening now, they're still building. And it doesn't mean that when they build, people are coming. The adage that we've seen here in the US, where it's you build and people come. They are building, but the building becomes empty. And there's a lot of speculators / people who want to invest in the so-called Airbnb stuff, or they think there's gonna be these rentals, ama mambo za mpango ya kando, day rentals, blah blah blah. It's not what it seems. Let me just put it that way. It really is not what it seems. There's a lot of real estate that's sitting empty, but the prices in some areas are still very, 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 very high.
Like what areas are you talking about?
So you're talking about your Westlands, your Kilimani, your Loreshos, your Lavingtons. Those are still high. The real estate, cost is high, but it also depends on what part of Kilimani, because Kilimani stretches. You have Kilimani that stretches from literally the
beach, Ngong Road.
Yes, you say the Ngong Road side may tend to be cheaper than if you come towards Yaya.
Now, what about around Makini School hapo?
Those are going to see. Sasa now Makini School, hiyo sasa unaenda ukiingia side za Lavi almost.
Yeah.
So those
are still high cost.
It's going to be higher.
Pia na ule mutu.
Okay.
Yeah,
but then almost one thing as to why I can still say there's a high construction rate is that Wakenya pia upenda anasa. So a new building will be filled up faster. Watu watatoka kwa nyumba mzee na kwa nyumba mpya. Right? Kenyans like flashy things, like good things, and there'll always be a market of that. Alafu pia tuwekiwa Chinese na Nigeria. But they've been incorporating their own communities over there. Like they're actually part of Nairobi right now.
Yeah. And then now the other thing about, going back to the rent part, and maybe I've lived in America for a long time, but I've never understood this thing of taxing revenue, because when you have revenue as a business, it doesn't mean you're going to make a profit. So when you tax revenue, you could be taxing someone who's making losses, and I think this is now by naivety of living in America, because the way a landlord will be taxed here, they have to report, the income that they got from their rent, and that will be taxed as regular income. So whatever tax bracket you fall in, whether if you're supposed to pay, you could pay 10%, 12%, or 24%, depending on whatever bracket you fall in. But this thing of taxing revenue, I've never quite understood the philosophy, and I think maybe in Kenya it's because that KRA feels that most people are not gonna report on the income, so they'd rather grab it from the source rather than wait for you to report and you want truth.
I have a response to that, and then I'll read the comment because I want us to keep up with them. Number one, what I notice in the Kenyan economy is there's a lot of mistrust. Nobody trusts anyone. The government doesn't trust the citizens don't trust the government. And I think that's why they end up doing that, The other thing, I think these are growing pains of a country growing. What I mean by that is, there has to be a better way, but I think we do need to get to a point where we pay taxes, because that's the only way we'll grow the country. And we will go through these issues. What I would ask people is to get involved in the public discussions, because the government, they know, probably they do, but maybe they do not know. But I think there has to be public engagement in how do we collect taxes. We have to collect taxes, but so how do we go about it? So I think we need to get to that point. But for now, they're finding our way, because we are so much in debt to collect taxes. I see them doing that. I don't fault them.
This is my beef, which is taxation without representation.
DC.
That's DC.
You cannot just go and be collecting taxes, and people don't see where the taxes go. People don't see how their taxes affect them, because at the end of the day, for the regular Mwananchi, if you're going to go into his pocket or her pocket, but a life or his life is not being changed, bado healthcare ni shida, education is an issue, food for them, putting food on the table is an issue, you're not helping them.
Micah, don't you think? If you're just... Okay, sorry, finish.
If you're just taxing, if you're just taxing for the sake of getting to government budget, and part of majority of that government budget doesn't affect the daily life of how your people see, you will cause apathy among the people, and that can backfire on a government really bad.
Okay, Ruth.
And that is when I, unfortunately, this is part of growing pains of our country, is if you tax people and they don't see what you're doing with their taxes, they will start asking questions, and there will be unrest, and something would have to be done. Something would have to give in.
And I think also the issue is taxing people who are already making very little money. And
that's the sad part.
And I think part of the issue is that it's difficult to tax people. It's difficult to tax the informal economy. The informal economy, to say, for example, like people who are selling mitumbas and stuff like that, it's difficult to tax them, yet some of them are making more money than people who are in formal jobs, like people who are teachers or people who have very low paying public jobs. These people with a paycheck, people with pay as you earn, those are the ones who bear the brunt. There's a very small, thin margin of people that pays taxes in Kenya. And the other problem is that the rich people, the ones who are supposed to be paying the large amounts of taxes, are evading tax. So that's another issue. A third of the government budget, this is according to the former president, and this is what he said publicly, meaning that maybe there's more. He said a third of the budget is lost to corruption. So I think if we can even just recapture just a half of that, I think it can go a long way. There's a lot of inefficiency in how things are done. I don't know why money to take kids to school would be given to MPs, and then MPs have the kids line up and then distribute it. It's a mess. You know, like if you say it's free education, just figure out how you're going to pay the schools.
Directly.
We know how many kids we have. Just tell the kids to go to school. So I think a lot of those inefficiencies are there, and some of them are there for political convenience, because the MPs will come back and say, oh, I took your kids to school, or I did this and that. So I think those are the things that we just need to figure out
we do need
as a country. Exactly where we need to go.
And I would call them, I'll be optimistic and call them growing pains. You know, we will get there. We need agitation to get there. You know, let me read the comments. Okay, we're talking about the buying, the empty houses in Kilimani. Washaka says, and the way tunapewa pressure as diasporans to tununue ati they are going like hotcake. Pablo, as Kenyans, we have also not been used to the issue of self-reporting for tax purposes. Most people think they can buy land, put up rentals, and not worry about taxes. So the government is trying to streamline the system. Plus, even before the KRA guys started going door to door, a notice had been issued by KRA about self-reporting. Most cases at the environment court against landlords are failing against them because they ignored self-reporting. Watu walipe ushuru, 100%. Ali, but there is paying taxes and also reporting revenue, regardless of profits or losses. Paul, taxes are the only way GOK will recoup all the money they stole in ghost projects. You cannot vote for someone from the establishment and expect changes. Slay, the issue is do they consider what is discussed in these public discussions? That's a good question. Pablo, exactly, Ruth, a lot of mistrust in both ways, but we have to know taxes run the country. There's no government money, which is what most people think there is. Good point. Celine, unfortunately, the taxes collected enrich others. That's true too. Pablo, people don't see, quote unquote, where taxes go because they don't ask questions. They will clap at funerals when they are told roads are being constructed, but they won't ask about food.
Now, you see, the people who are supposed to ask these questions are members of parliament. You know, like, I mean, I think sometimes we put a lot of burden on the mwananchi. You know, like someone who's struggling to survive, to feed their family. I mean, it's difficult for this person to know that this is the office that I have to go to find out where this money was. That's where representation, like comes from. And unfortunately, this representation has become a transactional issue. There are so many other things that we wanted to cover, but time is really running out. We are still going to talk about these things in the social hour. What are we actually going to talk about in the social hour?
Are you looking at me?
Yes, of course, I'm looking at you.
I think we'll just carry on with our visits. What's going on? Economy, Kenyans, and probably even what to look out for in 2023, when it comes to social. There's so many things. Did you guys know that there's a time there was proposed, people are talking about doing DNA testing? I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Yes, but...
Okay, sawa. We're gonna be talking about this in the social segment. Like easy conversations as a real estate peer. I think this is another area. Mafuroti. I think this is another area where now people are becoming more conscious and they want to know a little bit more about it.
Because diasporans get really chomoed, but it's like they never learn.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, that's gonna be in the social segment, and there's also a right way to do it.
There's a right way if you want to do it.
And I think those are the things that
we'll chime in. Me and my fisherman friend over there from undisclosed location.
And that's gonna be in the social segment. Real quick, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, there's a comment just came in. Steven, I don't know why you're saying please don't read this, but if this is true, newsflash: Micah just won an award at the ongoing Kenyan Clubhouse Awards 2022-2023.
Which Micah?
Say just Micah.
Micah who?
Okay.
I did not win an award.
Okay. Aya, na hapa Pablo anasema
kusambaza.
Aya, sawa Pablo anasema but Ali Badawy, can that pressure to ask to put on them heshimiwa that one votes for, they go ask wakienda bunge, camp at their offices and demand answers. Most failed to get a second and a third term because based on hot air promises. Force them to go to speak for the Monanchi. I had a controversial, opinion on this, and some people came for me. I think CDF has reduced the quality of members of parliament we get, because a lot of these people, you'll hear they're very popular on the ground, but they're not working on the legislative side, because that's not gonna get them anything. And even the ones who would have been talented and good at that, they're realizing that that's not winning them votes. So people are focusing on this part. And here's the unfortunate part: CDF is, I think, is it 1 or 2% of the total budget, but it has a very big impact on how people vote. Now, the legislation and the other policy things in parliament, that's 85%, but people are not looking at that. So it's kind of like a dog that steals, like nyama or a bone. Instead of you finding the dog owner, you're chasing the dog. And that's really what CDF has done. And I know, people are gonna say XYZ, CDF imefanya hivi na hivi na hivi, but when you look at the quality of members of parliament over time, it has gone down. Right. It's very difficult. It's those populists, the people who can stand in crowd, sing and dance, and people who can show that I made this cattle dip, I built these toilets, I built these ambulances that have no. Yeah, that's it. That's all you need to do.
And by the way, huyu jamaa mbona anatuchokoza sisi?
Yeah. So anyway, mtu wetu syndrome. But anyway, with that said, this is it for the news hour. We'll of course be back in the social segment, projections 2023. We're also going to discuss a new segment, PESA Diaspora, on how to better manage your money while living in the US. So keep it locked. Mimi ni mtangazaji wenu Ali Badawy aka Mjukuu Masai, and you're still tuned in to the OneMic show.
Ladies and gentlemen, mabibi na mabwana, this is still an encore presentation of the OneMic show. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that the people's Kamkunji is in full effect. DJ Machachari, oh my bad, Adjama is not even here.
He's not even here.
So he won't even bother.
Yeah.
OmoshFaya, nonsense. We'll take a short break. When we come back, sports and more sports from Micah. Stay tuned.
I'm ready. Kuja you can get it. Baby tell me are you ready? Yeah. Gospel on the beat, yeah. Gospel on the beat. Kama wanitaka asema, najua wanicheki kwa kona. Sema au